They should have started us earlier.
Hello and welcome everybody to a special Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan review today. If you were living in a cave and haven't come out to see any of the Star Trek films themselves, down there at the bottom is a spoiler warning, spoilers for this film. So when we talk about it, if you haven't seen the film yet, you can put us on a rewatch. Go find the film or watch it somewhere and then come back and watch us as we give our reviews on this. Today I'm surrounded by two of my best friends here. I've got Brother Jay and I've got Commodore Boone, who's also Jim's Landscape LLC #1 from Commodore Productions. Gentlemen, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm alive. I'm kicking. I'm getting my fan film stuff done today.
Oh, that's always a good thing. And how you doing, Jay?
Bitching.
Itching or bitching?
Itching and bitching.
Probably both. And I see that we've got someone that came in. So the first thing Jay asked us was, what is it? Klingon aphrodisiacs. Okay. And Jim's Landscape said, oh my.
Oh my.
Okay, these other three are just basically messages I sent to them so they can be here today. Booger says, a good movie and stream to listen to while I work on my battle cloak. Oh, cool.
Hey,
And
Booger.
of course, he says the second best Trek-like movie is Galaxy Quest. Well, believe it or not, Booger, we actually do own all 13 Star Trek films, including Galaxy Quest. So,
so do I.
Why would you want to buy
I love
own the three worst movies ever made with the name Star Trek?
Oh yeah, well you're talking about Jar Jar Abrams.
Mm-hmm.
and the Kelvin universe.
Now, they're not that bad. Come on, the first one.
No, they're not. They're not that bad. No, honestly, they're not. I'm just saying that I think personally. Well, you know what's funny is we played this game that Jay and I had played one time called A Question of Trek, and I barely beat Jay because we were doing. I think it was either on Generations or it was on
Generations.
Yeah, Into Darkness. And
because if it was First Contact, I would have whooped your ass.
No, I bet you would have, sure.
Oh man.
Anyway, I like Benedict Cumberbatch as Khan in that, but the whole thing about it is that we're discussing.
You liked him as Khan? He's not even Middle Eastern. He was an American or British or something. It totally was not Khan.
Yeah, no, I know, but that's what Abrams did. Is Star Trek Into Darkness, his second one, was basically a total role reversal of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, which we're discussing today. So, and Benedict was trying to channel his inner Ricardo Montalban, and of course that didn't work. But that's okay. I mean, it wasn't a bad film, and considering that it's weird to hear Zachary Quinto as Spock saying "God" to Chris Pine. As Kirk.
I left out of that movie quicker than anything. I did not watch the entire first Star Trek movie, and I did not watch the other two.
Right. Well, don't worry. We're not going to be discussing that Abrams disaster.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the original with William Shatner as Captain Kirk and Ricardo Montalban as Khan Noonien Singh. So don't worry. We're going to talk about that one today. And Booger says, don't get scared. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So anyway, I rewatched this movie myself yesterday. I was still fascinated by it. I love watching it. And of course, don't forget, this was also the premiere acting role for Kirstie Alley, rest in peace. Who played Rebecca later on Cheers, and and this was her first movie role. So I was like very, you still get enraptured and fascinated. Of course, the great music by James Horner, and then and with the soundtrack, and then of course you have the awesomeness of watching the Kobayashi Maru scenario unfold, and how it was supposed to actually come down, and then how Kirk was able to beat it by reprogramming the parameters. That's it. The parameters of the test so that he could win.
Are you sure?
And of course, we watch Kirstie Alley as Savick, Commander Savick. She's trying to go through the Kobayashi Maru her test herself and realizes there's no way to win, and that's what she said. But Kirk finally tells her later on in the film how he did it. So, like I said, if you guys haven't, I'm going to tell you one more time. If any of you in the chat today have not even seen this film, please wait for a rewatch, because I want you guys to go see it, because it's absolutely the best in my honest opinion, it's the best Star Trek film ever created of all 13. So, and
you
including,
can watch it on Max or Prime Video.
Yes. Yeah,
and also watch the director's cut. Director's cut's a lot better.
Yeah, director's cut's good too. Well, I mean, I've seen both. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, Kirstie was one of the best looking Vulcans ever. I totally agree. Though, to be fair, Robin Curtis did a pretty decent job too when she came back in the third one. So.
Excellent job.
Yeah, and I think she's better than Robin Curtis.
She looked more like a Vulcan than Kirstie did.
Yeah, Robin Curtis in a way did look a bit more like a Vulcan woman than Kirstie, but Kirstie
because she would not allow them to do her eyebrows.
Right. Anyway, so we'll just go over the basic plot here, and then we'll let you guys know about our reviews on it. So the basic plot is that for some reason, there is this project that's been created by Kirk's old flame, Carol Marcus, and the son that David, that Kirk really didn't know about, or maybe he did, but he just kind of walked away from their relationship. And so what's happening is that first we see the Kobayashi Maru scenario with Savick there. Then, you have Spock in there, you got your Uhura, and then you got Scotty down supposedly in the engine room, and of course Sulu. And so what happens is she reenacts, they do the whole Kobayashi Maru scenario, and of course it fails, and Savick fails it. And so, and Dr. McCoy was there too. And so basically what happens is, Kirk is Admiral. He assumed his Admiral position again after Star Trek The Motion Picture. And he comes in, he inspects it, talks to her. They go through, it's some basic, it's his birthday, supposedly, Kirk's birthday. So Spock gives him a tale of two cities. Then he goes home, and then Dr. McCoy comes in with Romulan ale, which he illegally got from his medicinal stores. And there's a basic discussion about Kirk, you need to be in that chair where you're at right now, you're hiding. And basically, Dr. McCoy is calling him out. So, Kirk is saying, yeah, you might be right. I might need to just, give this up and go back and be the captain of the Enterprise, but he's thinking it over. He's just kind of mulling it over at that point. Well, while that's going on, because you notice that there's just a lot of early on dialogue, but that's okay because it's starting to introduce you to the story. So gradually we go out into space near where the SETI Alpha system, and they're getting close to where they thought SETI Alpha 6 was. Well, they didn't know that 6 months after Kirk had left Khan and his group on SETI Alpha 5, that SETI Alpha 6 had blown up, either through a black hole or some kind of other reason. And the next thing you know, it shifted the planets out of orbit. So by the time Regular One, which is the ship that Chekhov is on and is captained by David Terrell, Captain Terrell. I never knew his first name. I don't know what that was. Anyway, so Terrell and Chekhov and the crew of Regular One, from Regular One, which is the Reliant, USS Reliant, they end up at SETI Alpha 5, and they go down there, and they Chekhov gets this minor power fluctuation. So they go down there, and they're looking through, and then all of a sudden they find these cargo containers. And so they go in, and they're examining one of these containers, and of course Chekhov sees on a belt it says Botany Bay, and he says, Botany Bay? Oh, Botany Bay? Oh no. He says, we got to get out of here. Well, unfortunately, Captain Terrell and Chekhov run into the remaining survivors of Khan's group, his followers. And so they find out that from Khan, he says, this is SETI Alpha 5. He says, SETI Alpha 6 blew up and threw the planets out of orbit, turned this place into a wasteland. And so basically, he realizes that Kirk left him there to die, or at least that's what he thinks. And now he finds out
his first name is Clark. Clark Terrell.
Terrell. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Jay.
But never said Captain in the movie, but the script says that his name was Clark.
Oh yeah, I never knew that. They never said in the movie. That's true. But it is Clark. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So basically, Khan has got, they captured Captain Clark Terrell and Chekhov, and of course Khan doesn't recognize Captain Clark, but he does recognize Chekhov. Now here's where I want to start examining in a little bit more detail. From what I understand,
that's in the original. That's in the IMDb trivia.
Yeah.
I mean, goofs,
yeah. You see, then that's the thing. What we don't realize is that, well, we do realize if most people had watched the original series episode Space Seed, where Kirk found Khan in cryogenic, suspension from their Botany Bay ship, which was damaged, slightly damaged, but it was still working, floating through space. What we found out was, he came from the eugenics wars and all this stuff, but he was very intelligent and powerful man. He was the prince. He said it to Chekhov, I was a prince and I was over millions, and the thing is that how does Khan recognize Chekhov right away? And my theory is that back when they did Space Seed, of course, Chekhov wasn't there. He was, the actor Walter Koenig was involved with other things. So he wasn't on that particular episode. But my theory is that Khan, when he said he read through all the technical manuals and everything and tried to take over the ship, the Enterprise originally, he must have read the crew manifest. And if Chekhov had been a part of it, he would have memorized, because he had such good photographic memory, he would have recognized all the main crew members, and of course, Chekhov was one of them. So my best guess is that even though it's a goof listed in IMDb, my best guess is that he must have memorized the crew manifest and then decided, oh yeah, this is Chekhov. Who used to, Pavel, who was running the board, up there in the bridge with Sulu, Hikaru Sulu. So I mean that's my guess. But I want to ask you guys, why do you think that he recognized him right away, even though we know he wasn't in the original episode?
Well, he said that he recognized his face.
Right.
Not his name, his face.
His face.
I never forget.
But he was never on the show at the time. So how can you recognize the face?
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
Because in the movie novelization, it shows that Chekhov in the episode Space Seed was in engineering when Khan took over engineering. And him and Sulu tried to break up the mutiny, but they couldn't, so they put him in the brig.
Oh,
they
so
put
that's
Sulu and Chekhov in the brig.
Okay, so that's how they recognized. That's how he recognized his face because, like you said, when they tried to take over engineering, we all realized Chekhov must have been off screen at that time, but he's in engineering, and so when they tried to take it when they took it over, okay, so that's he just recalled from a memory that of when they took over the engineering department, and Booker says I can see that.
It says here, Chekhov and Khan recall having met each other, although Chekhov was not a bridge officer when Khan came on the Enterprise and Space Seed. It should be remembered that when Khan first took over Enterprise, he started with engineering deck. Chekhov was engineering ensign at the time.
Okay, so then he wasn't up there in the front of the bridge.
He wasn't on the bridge
yet. He was just working back in engineering with Scotty.
And Sulu had the day off at that time, and Sulu was absent from Space Seed, a point which no one ever brought up.
They didn't. But wait, did Kyle, who was on Reliant, Commander Kyle, wasn't he on Enterprise?
Yes, he was. Yes. He was a transporter chief at the time.
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So he would have known Commander Kyle too.
Commander Kyle.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I didn't forget that. At least I got
you
that
would
right.
think that both of them would remember City Alpha system after leaving Khan on City Alpha 5, but
Well, yeah. Well, obviously they didn't anticipate that. What basically transpired, right, is that SETI Alpha 6 blew up 6 months after Kirk left them all there at SETI Alpha 5, which was lush and green and, and everything looked nice. So, So, I mean, how would Kirk even know that there was going to be an incident with the planet with SETI Alpha 6? He wouldn't have known.
And
I mean,
some people have been speculating. How did Khan know about Klingon proverbs? Well, he has the ability to remember everything he reads and looks at. He has a photographic memory.
Of course.
Yep.
Yeah. Very highly intelligent.
He's genetically engineered.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what Booker said. I have long heard the fan theory that Chekhov was simply off screen. Yeah, I suspect the novel may have had that bit added in to cover this. Now, well, that makes a lot of sense.
Son, we have a lot of on the goofs. It's like a mile long of goofs. Wait till we get there. Oh Lord.
Oh no. Yeah, Booker says it's not a sci-fi franchise without plot holes. Just roll with it. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Okay, so like I said, just to quickly recap where we left off. So anyway, basically what then happens is Khan realizes that in order to get a hold of the information from Captain Clark, I'm just going to call him Captain Clark from now on. So thank you for giving me his
Well,
first
that's
name.
his first name. You can call him Captain Terrell.
I don't have to call him that. So Captain Clark and Chekhov, they find out there's a remaining survivor of SETI Alpha 5, and it's a earwig type creature which looks really disgusting. And he gets the two larvae from this huge, must be a mother earwig type creature. It's the only way I can describe it. It is disgusting. It gave me nightmares when I first saw it as a kid because I thought, "Oh shit, this thing goes in my
I
ear."
still can't watch.
Like,
I have to turn away. I cannot see anything that gross. God.
yeah, yes, I know it's disgusting.
Even though it was just a little plastic thingamajig they made, and somebody's pulling a string to make it move.
Yeah, that's it. That's well, that's how they were doing it, right? So,
but when he licks his lips, oh God!
yeah.
I'm gonna enjoy it here.
There's a little bit of animation there, I think. Yeah, really, really disgusting. Yeah, so basically, Khan takes the larva and he says it grabs a hold of your cerebral cortex and drives you slowly insane and then eventually kill you. But it leaves the mind open to suggestion so that he can talk to them and force them to do his will. So he puts the larva each to their ears. He hears the screaming. Yeah, he hears the screaming, and then Khan is, got them open to suggestion, and he says, "Okay, tell me why you're here, and where can I find Admiral Kirk?" And
I just love how he did that scene. He was so good as Khan. He had to go back and rewatch Space Seed. He said he rewatched it dozens of times until he finally remembered the motivation that he gave Khan the first time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I actually watched the special features on the movie itself, and Nicholas Meyer was talking about Ricardo and said that the scene that you see him with his pecs, those are real. He worked.
Those are his. That is his chest because at the time, he loved exercising with weights and everything. He was obsessed with his physique.
Right. And they always, here's the thing. What I really liked about Meyer is that the fact he said they always had Ricardo in mind to do it. Because ever since they'd seen him in Space Seed in the original episode, they always thought that to do a continuous story plot and an arc going into Wrath of Khan, it had to be Ricardo. There couldn't be anybody else that could play it. And Ricardo was more than willing, and he worked out every single day to build his body up to that part. You know where he lifts that heavy, the big thing off of Joaquin? And by the way, I found out that Joaquin is spelled Joachin. So John DeMarco and Professor Brady
It's the same as the man that was in Space Seed when he was doing the stretches and he slaps him in the back and he calls him Rakim. That was him.
But it's not Rakim,
it was
it's
just played by a different actor.
Right, but the way I thought it was pronounced was Joaquin. That's the way I pronounce
it. It's hard to hear what he says, but I think he calls him Rakim.
Rakim. Well, that doesn't sound like to me. I mean, but because because
it may not be. Like I said, it's hard to understand what he's calling him.
Okay, no, I'm just going to let you know something. When I always watch these films with Suzanne, we always watch them with closed captioning on, or they have subtitles. Too. So when we do the subtitles and he says Joaquin, as he lifts the thing off him, it's spelled J. Oh no! Okay. All right. So this is probably a few minutes of a fire alarm. I'm going to let Jim and Jay take this over. I'm going to go on mute for a few minutes. I'm not sure how long, so I apologize in advance. But somebody sets the alarms off in this place.
You should have did us an hour early.
I know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let them take over for a few minutes, and I'll be right back.
All right.
Hey, I know nothing.
Well, basically, after he places the earworms in him, both Chekhov and Terrell, they have the captain. This is not in the movie. This is in the book. Terrell opens his communicator and orders to be beamed up that they have survivors from an expedition. And they beam up, and Khan's people immediately tackle the transporter personnel, and they immediately go up to the bridge and take over and beam all of the Reliant into the cargo carriers.
Well,
and they head for regular one. Well, as soon as they get to regular one, there's hardly anybody except maybe 5 or 6 people, and he tortures them to give him the information that he wants about Genesis, and nobody tells him anything, so he slit their throats and hung them. Well, Kirk gets, while Khan is heading for regular one, of course, Carol Marcus calls Kirk to verify, did he give the order to give Reliant Genesis? And of course, she can't hear him say, no one's authority. Well, they go to they head for regular one, and Reliant meets the Enterprise, and of course, Khan attacks the Enterprise, and several people are hurt. And Scotty's nephew, we find out it's his nephew in in the television version of this movie TV cut. We see that Scotty's nephew, Peter, was his nephew, and he dies from the ordeal of being attacked from Reliant. We also find out from a deleted scene, which is on YouTube, that Kirstie Alley's character, Savick, is half Romulan and half human. That's the reason why she says damn in the Kobayashi Maru test. Anyway, Kirk gets Scotty back down to engineering and tries to get impulse power back, and they head for regular one. Kirk, McCoy, and Savick beam down to regular one, and all they find is Chekhov and Terrell. And Chekhov even tells Kirk that Khan had put creatures in their bodies to control their minds. And Kirk, for some reason, doubts it. He looks at Bones like, I think he's crazy. There's nothing he says about it. You would think he would beam them up with Bones in sickbay and quarantine them. But no. They take them with them down to the planetoid of Regula. And there they find the Genesis device, Dr. Marcus, both Dr. Marcuses, and we come to find out that the other guy, Jenna, is Carol Marcus's lover. He gets killed by Terrell with his phaser on kill, evaporation. And when Terrell gets the order by Khan to kill Admiral Kirk, he pulls the phaser toward him and kills himself. And immediately, Chekhov is screaming in pain, and the earwig falls out of his ear, and Kirk phasers it and kills the earwig. Then he grabs Terrell's communicator that he took off, before he killed himself, and he talks to Khan. He tells him that he calls him a bloodsucker, and he says, if you want Genesis, you wanted Genesis, but you wanted me. You have to come down here. You have to come down here.
Right.
And he says, no, I'm going to leave you there. I'm going to leave you there like you left me, like you left her, talking about his wife.
Mm-hmm.
For all eternity in the center of a dead planet, buried alive, buried alive. And then the infamous Kirk screaming, God! And it echoes.
Sure does.
And you can see Khan he's not hurting or anything. He's relishing him screaming his name, and he's just going, oh, oh, oh. I love that scene.
He's getting pleasure out of it.
Yes.
Yes.
Then he told Spock on Regular One that he had an hour to fix, 2 hours to fix the Enterprise, and if they could, leave and contact Starfleet.
Uh-oh.
Well, 2 hours are up, and well, at first Kirk and Carol start talking about David. Apparently, David is Kirk's son, and she didn't want him, David, to be around Kirk. He didn't want him to go running around the universe with his father. She wanted him.
Yep.
And he agreed to her decision, but then he starts feeling so tired and everything of his age and everything, and he says, if you could just show me a son who would be willing to help me. I got a man that's trying to kill me. I haven't seen him 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, what am I feeling? Old. Worn out. And she says, let me show you something that'll make you feel young as when the world was new. And they go into the tunnel and they come out, and it looks like a whole planet, another planet, has been built inside Regula. And there's even a sun. Can you believe that? A sun is shining.
A sun and a waterfall and a lot of fruit growing on trees and ground and that, and grass as well.
Right.
Yep.
And Savick asked Admiral Kirk if he would tell her how he solved the Kobayashi Maru, because McCoy tells him, Lieutenant, you're looking at the only Starfleet cadet who ever beat the no-win scenario.
Yep.
And she asks him how. And he goes, how did he put it? I
cheated.
Rearranged the computer. I rearranged the computer to beat the simulation or something. And he goes,
change. He changed
the
conditions
of the test.
Yes.
Yeah, changed conditions of the test. And David said he cheated. He said, no, I changed conditions of the test. Got accommodation for original thinking.
You got it.
I don't like to lose. And she goes, and you never faced that situation. You've never faced death. Well, unbeknownst to her, he went through that test 3 times, and it took him the 3rd time to win it.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, I don't believe in a no-win scenario. And because of that, he opens his communicator and contacts Spock and says, 2 hours is up. Are you ready? Just give us your coordinates, Admiral. We'll beam you aboard. McCoy is smirking, and Savick is stunned. They beam aboard, and Kirk, Spock, and Savick run up to the bridge, And Kirk immediately orders battle stations and to go directly into the Matara Nebula. Well, the reason why is it would be a fair chance to get Khan. They would both have a level playing field. The sensors would be useless, and visual won't function, and shields would be useless. Well, right. Sensors would be iffy, is what she said, and shields would be useless.
Yep,
well,
sketchy.
Khan and his superiority, Kirk tells him, "It's me. It's Admiral Kirk. We tried it once your way, Khan. You ready for a rematch?" Khan, I'm laughing at the superior intellect. And he goes, full impulse power. Well, Geoikim, or whatever his name is, his henchman, gets up and says, "No, sir. You have Genesis. You can have anything you want." Well, Khan is mad and says, "Damn you!" And he gets up to the helm and goes full impulse. Well, Joachim was right. That genetically engineered intellect was the only flaw that they have is their superiority. That they think they know it all and everything, and he wants Kirk. He wants to kill Kirk. Well,
yep.
He can't help but go after Kirk. And Joachim was right. You don't need to kill Kirk. You have Genesis. You could take over the entire galaxy with that one torpedo. Well, he wouldn't listen to him. And basically it got him killed. Because Kirk, with Chekhov's help, back on the bridge and takes over the security station. He readies the photon torpedoes and he fires them directly into the Reliance torpedo tubes. And we see a couple of Khan's men yelling and screaming because they get blown up. Then he fires phasers on the left warp nacelle, then uses a torpedo to knock it out. And Khan gets hit. And some of the others, the rest of them on the bridge get hit too from explosions.
Yeah.
And he is badly burnt and his hand is deformed. And he crawls over to the Genesis device and he sets it off. And Kirk's only got 4 minutes to get warp speed back.
Well, he tells
down to the engine room.
Right. He tells Scotty, "Scotty, I need warp speed in 3 minutes or we're all dead." So
right.
That's my favorite line
Spock,
from that scene. Yeah.
And Spock goes down to engineering. He knows the only way to get a warp drive is to go into that device and realign the warp nacelles, the warp drive, the mains back on the line. Put the mains back on the line. Well, he stopped by McCoy and he tells him, "You're not going in there." And he nerve pinches him and he mind melds with him and says, "Remember." And he goes in there and he realigns the warp core and gets the mains back online just at the nick of time. And Kirk says, "Bless you, Scotty. Go Zulu." And the Enterprise warps out just as soon as Reliant explodes. And when it explodes, that torpedo, the Genesis device, exploded and took the Reliant with them. And it started its program, creating Genesis and a sun. And Kirk and the Enterprise get safe. And they turn around and they see the Genesis planet being formed. And
New life.
McCoy calls Kirk from engineering. No, Kirk called engineering to thank Scotty. And McCoy says, "Jim, you better get down here.
Yeah.
You better do it now." And he runs off. And Spock is laying in that device, and he runs after him. And Kirk, Scotty, and another crew member stop him. And he says,
they stop him and they said, "You'll flood the whole compartment." Yeah. He's already dead.
Flood the whole compartment, and he said he'll die. And Scotty said, "Sir, he's dead already."
Dead. He's dead already. Yeah, exactly.
They let him go. He relents, and they let him go. And he goes over to the door, and the comm isn't on, so he cuts it on and says, "Spock!" And Spock comes over there. Well, people have been wondering, why did Spock run right into the door? He was blind. The radiation blinded him.
Yep. Well, it blinded it, even though the Vulcan eyes are supposed to be, the Vulcan eyesight is supposed to be the most advanced.
They have an inner eyelid.
Yeah, an inner eyelid.
They have an inner eyelid because of the Vulcan sun is so bright. Right. Anyway, he goes in front of Kirk and he tells him not to grieve, that it's logical. Right.
Yes.
And that he told him that he never took the Kobayashi Maru test until now. What do you think of his solution?
His solution, yeah.
And he gives him the Vulcan salute. Well, William Shatner's never been able to do the Vulcan salute, but he puts his hand next to his, and he slips down and dies. And Kirk slowly goes, "No, his best friend, his brother is dead."
Right.
And they go immediately to the torpedo bay where his coffin, his photon torpedo tube.
Yeah, he's in a Mark 7 or Mark 6 torpedo. Yeah, and they send it out to the right.
Right. And Sulu takes off the flag. And Kirk says the best line ever. In all of my travels, his was the most
human.
And Saavik is tearing up, crying. Because
she's a Vulcan. She's not supposed to tear up. That's that's why it's such a great line.
In the deleted scene that's on YouTube, Spock tells Kirk that that his protege is rather emotional, and Spock says that she is half Romulan. That's why she's so emotional. And anyway, they slowly put his tube into the torpedo tube launcher and launches it into space, but it is caught in the gravitational pull of the planet and soft lands on Genesis. Kirk goes back to his quarters, tries to read the book that Spock gave him, but his glasses that McCoy gave him is broken.
Well, one side
his son comes in and he basically tells him that Kirk told Saavik that, how did he put it, Mikey? It is, the best way to remember him is how he lived his life.
How he lived, right.
Right. And he said, those were good words. And Kirk says, just words. He said, you never really have faced death. And he said, nope, not like this. I've cheated death, patted myself on my back
for my ingenuity. Right. Yeah.
And he gets up and he says, is that all you came here to say? And he said, mainly. And also that I'm proud, very proud to be your son. And Kirk, he doesn't know what to do except pull him against his chest and pat him like a little baby.
Yeah, but that was
such a on board.
Moment. Yeah, it was a great. It wasn't awkward. The hug itself wasn't awkward. It wasn't
awkward. He just didn't know what to do, so he just puts him next to him and he hugs him and he just pats like a baby because he doesn't know what to do. It's his first day as a father.
Yeah.
Anyway, he goes on board the bridge, and there's another deleted scene in YouTube where he asks Saavik, status report, and she goes, "All is well. We are setting course for Regulus for City Alpha 5 to pick up the stranded crew of the Reliant."
Right.
And he said, "Of course, you know this is my son David Marcus," and they each give each other a sensual look, and he goes, "Oh, she's learning by doing." and that was the scene where he told in the turbolift where he told Savick that it was a little joke and of what he was said to her. She asked Kirk, "How did you deal with the test?" And he said, "You may ask. That's a little joke." And she goes, "Humor. It is a difficult concept. It is not logical." And he goes, "We learn by doing." And that's how she learned by doing with David. And in the novel, they both get together on the Enterprise.
So they actually get together as a couple.
They hook up.
Yeah, which is why they got together and did the investigation of the Genesis planet in the third one. Oh, wow. Cool.
And you see that she, in Star Trek 3, she's no longer wearing a cadet's uniform. She's a full-fledged Starfleet officer and first officer because she's wearing a white uniform. But anyway, he tells...
Dave, oh, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, if you were almost done, go ahead and finish. And then I was just going to go over what Booger said. He had a lot of different comments. I just want to get through those.
He tells Carol that basically that he's going to miss Spock. And McCoy says, "Are you all right, Jim?" And he goes, he says, "How do you feel?" And he goes, "Young. I feel young." It took the death of his friend and the creation of a new planet to make him feel young and alive.
To feel young again.
They end with seeing Spock's burial tube, photon tube, on the ground of Genesis, and they leave orbit, and you hear Spock speaking the title of Space, the Final Frontier.
Right, and he says these are the continuing voyages, and he says where no one has gone before. So,
right.
Yeah.
Where no man has gone before.
Well, no man has gone before. Okay. Right. Yes. Cool.
And that was a good. And now, one thing we need to mention: the actor who played Khan's henchman, Joachim or whatever his name is, Rakim. He is not credited in the movie.
Right, he's not.
Because he told the producers that he didn't want to, let me get it right.
Outshine Ricardo?
Something like that, that he was doing this for lesser pay. And so someone made the goof and not put him on the cast at the end. And because of that, he doesn't get any residuals of the movie ever.
Ever. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. Oh, what was the actor's name? What was the actor's name that played Joaquin?
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay. So while you're looking that up there, Brother Jay, let's go through Booger's comments here in the chat so we can get caught up. Now, Booger first says, if Kirk could forget what Klingons look like despite Archer meeting them first, then Khan can remember what they said despite never meeting them. Very true. Booger said he saw a set of earrings with those slugs on them. My wife did not want a pair. No wonder. It would give me nightmares. Stay safe. Yes. By the way, the alarm was on the 8th floor of our apartment, so I'm sorry that I was gone for so long, but Jay and Jim did a great job covering for me there while I was waiting for the alarm to stop. Yeah, it was disturbing. But they said that there was no problem, so I guess another false alarm. But I appreciate you saying stay safe there, Booker. Also, he was saying about Savick that she seems more accusatory than questioning. That's probably true. Yeah, and I just told Booger they were testing our fire alarm again. Thank you for the concerns. Booger said, now, if I remember correctly, there was a TOS episode where Kirk conducted a funeral for crew. I know he did it in the not quite canon New Voyages, so he has faced death. Booger, there is actually an episode, I think it's a two-parter, another two-parter before the ending two-parter of Star Trek Continues. Peter, Kirk's nephew, Peter Kirk, Kirk's nephew comes on board. This time, of course, Kirk is played by Vic Mignogna, and Peter is actually homosexual, and he has this relationship with a fellow male crew member that's on there. But when they have this incident that happens, his partner dies. So they had a small funeral for him in the episode that was done, and for Peter's partner. And so, yeah, but that's the thing. Kirk's never faced death. Well, he has faced death. I'm sorry, I take that back. He has faced death, but other people have suffered, and not him. That's why he said, I've cheated death. That's why he said that before. Khan doesn't need to kill Kirk, but he will enjoy the battle like a nice cold cup of revenge. Yes. And despite all the KS freaks, that is all they were. Enough said. And then Booger said, I always thought it was a bit of a letdown that even when he was playing the pipes, Scotty did not wear his kilt. That's a good point, because since he's such a Scotsman, you would think, since he's playing the bagpipes, he would wear the kilt, which I thought, would be etiquette, right, for him to do that.
Yeah.
And he didn't, and I was just kind of surprised by that. Yeah, the kilt would have looked great with the Monster Maroon uniform. Totally agree with that. Booger said, I always took that look between Saavik and David to mean they had already hooked up, which is why there was tension when she realized what needed to be done to cure the victim found in the next movie. Right. And yes, I do have a lot of comments. So they called a priority 1 alert for Wheat. Okay. And interesting that 2 fan films retconned Kirk facing death into their productions. Yes. That's a good point.
I have the explanation why Judson Scott, who played
Judson Scott, right?
What's his name again? Joachim.
They spell it Joach. Yeah, they spell it Joachim, and
it says
it is pronounced Joaquin. Yeah.
Huh?
So,
Joaquin.
It is pronounced Joaquin.
Joaquin. It says his lack of credit, according to Mr. Scott, was due to a foul-up with his agents who had requested that he be billed among the regular Trek characters at the top of the picture. Then, rather than accept lower billing for their client, the agents waived billing. Scott believed that waiving billing meant being listed in the back of the credits instead of the front, and not as actually happened. Not at all. He said, I went to the movie and I went, wow, I know that was me.
Yeah, but I was never in the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently the agent didn't know what he was doing when he said, well, let's just not put him be billed then. And boom. Dummy.
Believe me, that was the last time that Judson trusted any agent of Hollywood.
You're darn right.
I don't blame it.
Here's a weird thing. Somebody in IMDb needs to correct this. Gene Roddenberry was not a writer of this movie. He was a executive consultant. Jack B. Sowers and Harv Bennett are credited as being a writer, writing it, but Jack B. Sowers got credit for the screenwrite. But in actuality, the director, Nicholas Meyer, took all 3 parts of people's, he asked them what they thought was the biggest thing that needed to be in the movie. And Harv Bennett, Jack Sowers, and Leonard Nimoy and Wayne Shatner all told him what needed to be. And so he put all 4 of those into the movie and he wrote the script.
That's great.
But because it took him almost to the last minute, he couldn't get credited, and Hard Bennett felt bad about that.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. So again, Booger, since I know you're the only one out there, I want to thank you so much for your patience.
I'm sorry to hear he's the only one out here. Dear
Lord. So far,
I mean, we did have two. This is a good channel right here.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, Booger 414 is such a great guy, and I appreciate his comments absolutely and his contribution. And I do appreciate both of you gentlemen for doing that recap of the film. I said, for others, for others who do rewatch this later on, make sure you do pay attention to the bottom banner there saying warning, spoilers for the film. Because if you've never seen it, or I guess whatever cave you haven't climbed out of yet to see it, make sure that you see it first, then get our review. So now that we have a recap,
do you know that James Horner, the person who wrote the score, the music for this film, had a cameo in the movie?
Yeah, really? Wow.
Yeah. He was running down a corridor during the preparation for the final battle, just before the torpedoes are loaded into the launch bay.
Oh, who was that again that ran down there? Say that again.
James Horner, the writer of the music.
Oh, the composer. Yeah, of the movie.
Yeah.
Wow. So he has an uncredited cameo role.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Booger says he had 3 times the likes than I could add. Okay. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know, Booger.
They wanted him to do Star Trek 4, but he was so big that his asking price was too high. And also, he was doing the Golden Child or something.
Sure. Oh yeah, you're talking about Jerry Goldsmith, right?
James Horner.
Oh, okay. James.
They wanted him. See, he did the composing of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, The Search for Spock, and then they wanted him back for the Voyage Home.
For the 4th one, Voyage Home, but yeah, it was 2.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, James Horner. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I loved Jerry Goldsmith when he did Star Trek. He did Star Trek: The Motion Picture, correct? So I liked his score, and then James Horner came in, brought a freshness to it, for the next 2 movies, and then of course, like you said, then they moved back to another composer for Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home.
I love that composer, especially the title of the movie. Just before we see the first time ever seeing the alien probe. Shoot, that was a great theme right there.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah, I enjoyed that. And
now I don't remember who did the composer for Star Trek 6, but that was a good opening theme too.
Oh yeah, it was.
Oh, it was, yeah. Really, we now got 3 people watching. Yay! Hey, yay! We grabbed 2 more. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into the review of this now. Jim, you go first. What do you think? How many times would you estimate you've seen the film, and then what do you think about it? And what would you give as like a grade and stuff like that?
Heck, I watched this damn thing so many times, I probably lost count at 20.
But Aravic Sonder, Jolan True, Mikey Susford. Thank you, Jolan True, Aravic. It's good to see you. All right, go ahead, Jim.
Well, this is true Star Trek at its best. Bringing back someone from the original series that played a role again and did a great job. So, of course, I would give it a big fat A like I always do because it's from the original series. But you got to start from Space Seeds first, then watch Star Trek 2 to get the whole story.
Right.
Correct. Correct. So
when
you would
tell
basically
people, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so Jim has basically said, like, I agree with him. This is the best Star Trek film of the entire franchise. To me, it's always number one.
It's one good or best video. Yes, there's others.
It's one of the best.
Yes,
it is. But for me, it's always number one. I've always been
don't
my favorite.
Get me wrong. I think it is number one, but there are even great. There are even more good films of the franchise, like 4.
Yeah.
And
well, yeah. Well, 4 is great because
I love. Now I am in the minority.
So I've always liked 4.
I'm in the minority in this. I love Star Trek V: The Voyage of the Final Frontier. I love it.
Well, I can understand.
Not a lot of people can say that, but I love it.
Yeah, but I mean, I can understand the religious undertones of it and life is but a dream.
Right.
And God's, and he's asking this guy who thinks he's God.
Why does God need a starship?
Why does he need a starship? Yeah. Right. So I totally get that. I understand.
You ain't taking my
yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
And in Star Trek V, I love the kitty cat scene.
Aww.
Oh, yeah.
Lady.
The 3 little titties.
That poor kitty. Yeah, but she ended up in the water and drowned.
They can't stand water. You know that.
That's the first time I seen a kitty with 3 boobs.
God, I felt so bad, man. I said, no, I know
Bill
she's okay.
Shatner and Gene Roddenberry were horn dogs.
Darn right. Here, kitty.
Yeah.
It was good, though.
There's not much on the trivia because everything we have talked about has been talked about on the trivia.
Yeah. There's probably too many goofs. I probably don't really want to know that many.
Oh, dear God. I just told you that there was,
I would say,
there's like 20 or 30 of them. Jeez.
Oh, my Lord. That's a lot. And then Airvake, just interrupt here for a second. Airvake says, LOL. I love the news ticker spoiler warning. If you haven't seen it in the however many decades it's been out.
Right.
Well, there are a few exceptions. Some people who absolutely, for any reason, have never seen it. And they're like going, what's Star Trek 2? I don't know what that is. What is the original series? There's a lot of ignorant people out there. So that's why that's out there, Aravic, because if they don't know and they want to know, I'm just warning them, saying, hey, look, we're telling you the entire story of this movie, which we all 3 of us consider one of the best Star Trek films ever made. And if you think so yourself and you want to check it out, don't watch us until you watch the movie, then watch us, and you can get our accurate reviews on it. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt the train of thought we were going into. All right, so going back to Jim here for a moment. So, Jim, you basically gave it a 5 out of 5 and a straight A. I did too. I thought it's still the best. Actually, you know what? I would put it right there with The Voyage Home. I would. Both Star Trek 2 and 4, to me, are 2 of the best films in the entire franchise.
And 6 as well.
Yeah, 6 is okay. Not 6 is fine. I mean, I don't have a problem with 6. And I actually like Generations. Generations is great for me. So I enjoy that one. And we will get into those other movies if you guys want to. We can always get it and do this every Saturday. We can get into the other films as well if you want to.
Yeah.
We can do that.
But also in Star Trek 5, and it's the first time you ever seen it, Captain Kirk press the button, and a toilet comes out the wall. Have you ever seen that at any other Star Trek? Nope.
No, we never saw that in another Star Trek.
The only toilet we've ever seen in Star Trek.
Toilet.
Go ahead.
Don't use while in space dock.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know? Do you two remember the VHS cover of this movie? On the back of it, or maybe it's in the front. I think it's the back of it. They have a scene that was filmed but it was edited, and we can't find it anywhere in any deleted scene, so it's lost, I guess.
Right.
It's Kirk holding on to a bridge bar. It looks like they're in the brig.
Yeah.
And Spock is next to him. I would love to have known what that scene was.
Yeah.
Well, Aravic here is saying to Booger, he says, now, you don't have to call, well, he's telling me, now, you don't have to call them ignorant, just normies, okay? Booger
how about
says,
weirdos?
Weirdos? Okay, yeah, we could probably say that. Booger says, Aravic, I agree. If you haven't seen it by now, you probably won't. Aravic, maybe that's the scene he's pointing out to you there, Jay, is, haha, wasn't there a no smoking sign?
There is a no smoking sign in the transporter room.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
They smoke in the 23rd century? Come on, Gene.
Booger says, I liked 6. I didn't dislike 5, but it wasn't a favorite. I liked 3 better than 4. Generations had too many problems and felt like a forced crossover. I don't think it was a forced crossover. I mean, you're entitled to that, Booger, but I don't think it was forced. I think it was trying to accurately bring it over, but maybe it just didn't quite get there.
It was a passing of the torch.
Movies. I still like 6 or 7.
Generations was a passing of the torch.
Yeah, that's all it was. And I think they did a fine job. Yeah, I think they did a fine job.
Except killing Kirk, and oh God, I can't stand that movie. I will not watch that movie.
Yeah. Okay, so Jim gave his review and his grade, and I gave mine, of course, because I already know what my answer is. Well, Jay, what was your grade and your review of it?
One of the greatest Star Trek movies, one of the greatest movies of all time. I put it up there with the Sons of K the Elder, the what was that one with Charlton Heston? The 10 Commandments. This is a great epic movie, and I'm glad that Congress saved this movie. They've saved all the Star Trek movies. Thankfully, they're in the Library of Congress.
Correct. Yes.
I give this a 10 out of 10, and I give it A plus 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 plus.
Or would you say an A to infinity? Yeah, would you say an A to infinity
and beyond, to the moon and back? This is a great movie. Do you know that they actually ran this with a not in a premiere but a testing audience, and they hated the ending.
Yeah.
And the ending was them shooting the torpedo, and that was it. That's how it ended. Right. They hated it. And that's why they had to call everybody back and do that last scene on the bridge, and then the Spock saying the tagline, "Space, the final frontier."
Yeah, voyages, right? Yeah,
these are the continuing voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Her ongoing mission to explore strange new worlds and new life forms instead of life forms, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Okay, that's cool.
You might merge with a cigarette like in The Flight. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Light me up, Scotty.
Yeah. Oh, wait a second. What if you
smoking if you got them?
Yeah, right. Smoking if you got them.
Smoke them if you got them.
You have a cigar. What about a cigar? Would the cigar end up in your forehead?
It's still smoking. A cigar is still smoking, you know. So
so it can end up in
That
your
was a
forehead.
weird sign in the transporter room. That was just stupid. Instead of putting a sign saying "Do not no smoking," it should be a sign that says "Don't hold each other's hands because you could be beamed back without any arms."
Oh my gosh!
Like Savick and his wife in Star Trek: The Next Generation's episode Sarek. He grabs Perrin Pan and they beam off the Enterprise. You can't do that. You can't cross the streams.
Right. That's weird. Anyway, yeah. So as I mentioned with Jim there, I did give it a straight A+ and 5 out of 5, or I would have also given it 10 out of 10 because to me, it's right there. And when we do decide, or when we do eventually get to, Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, it'll get the same rating for me because both of those films to me, they're basically 1 and 2 great films in the entire franchise for the original crew, and I love them because those are the 2 movies. I know that if I got bored and I wanted to see a Star Trek film, either 2 or 4, I would put them in and I would just watch them again, and that's why I was so glad we were going to do this review because I said, oh, I get to watch Khan again and hear Kirk say Khan, in the burial of the rock asteroid.
I've only been excited to see 2 movies of the Star Trek franchise, and that was Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, because of all the hype and everything. And then I was so excited that when Star Trek 5, The Final Frontier, was finally going to come out on cassette, which you remember back then when they had video cassettes, you had to wait a year or 18 months for the movie to come out on video, which was stupid. Now it comes out within 4-6 months? Anyway, I was at our local video store at 8 a.m. until the mail truck came and delivered it, and she had to put it in little cases and stuff, and adorn it with the box that it came with. She cut out some of the part of the box and put it on the makeshift box, the video case, and then finally put it out on the thing for me to rent it. And I said, I want to buy this. She said, I knew you was going to want to buy one, so I bought an extra one. And she let me buy it.
Wow. Yeah. Now,
I waited up about 6 hours for that. I did not leave that spot.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Let's catch up here because Eric's got an interesting thing here towards the end. He says it should have kept up with the times and said no vaping. Well, how could it though? I mean, Booger says I teleported home one night with Ron and Sid and Meg. Ron stole Maggie's heart away, and I got Sydney's leg. Wow, good joke there. Erevic said, I think it's the best Trek movie, 10 out of 10, although not my favorite, but up there. Well, that's good to know.
Wow, Erevic. What's your favorite?
Yeah, well, we'll find out, I guess, when we start doing Star Trek motion picture next week. next Saturday.
I don't know if they did. I don't know if they would have done that, Booger.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they would still sell tobacco and stuff. I know they did in other planets, but man, that's hard.
Yeah, and that's what Booger said was, did the cancer cure lead to more or less smoking? Not that is stopped being as dangerous. I don't know.
If you cure cancer, lung cancer, you can continue smoking.
Yeah. Now here's the fun thing. Erevic said, did you guys know that they're releasing the remastered Star Trek 3 next week in theaters? Wow. That'd be great.
Wow, I wish I could get it at my theater. I'd go see it.
Oh, I wish we could here too. Well, we might, maybe. Yeah, I might want to check Cineplex audience if they do that. Nice, Jay. That's good customer service. Yeah.
Yeah, Atlanta
And
was a great one to help me buy a copy of any movie I wanted. I just needed to let her know before she ordered a movie.
right.
She was
And
so
and
good to
Booger
me.
said right, and Booger said his poem was from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Okay.
Mm,
That's why I kind of recognized the make
okay.
part. And let's see. Aravic says you can't make me choose a favorite. Okay. He says no, not in theaters. It's a steel knock. Oh, steel knock set. Oh, okay, not in theaters. It's in a steel uh box set maybe. Okay.
Huh?
That makes sense. Okay. Well, that might be
What is
released
that?
in Walmarts. You never know. They usually bring out the remastered box sets and things like that first. So probably in
Oh,
Walmart if that comes out next week. Yeah, more than likely. It's a thought.
I don't know.
Um, and then Irving says, "Yeah, I love the guide Booger, and now I recognize the avatar." Yeah, yeah, Booger's advertise his avatar for the Hitchhiker's Guide,
Yeah.
which is a great book too. One of these days, I hope to do a review of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and also a quote from the book. If I can find the book again, I'd like to know where that is.
I have heard
Um,
that before,
I
but
love the
I have
book.
never. I don't know if it's a TV show, a movie, or a magazine, or what.
What, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Well, originally it was a
Yeah.
novel. Yeah, it was a novel originally, and then they made it a movie. It featured Martin Freeman, who was in the early Hobbit films, well, the Hobbit films that
Uh,
followed Lord of the Rings, and he played a younger version of Bilbo Baggins in
uh,
the Hobbit. So, and he's in Hitchhiker's Guide. There's also what's her name? Oh yeah, Zooey Deschanel is in Hitchhikers, and also Sam Rockwell. And yeah, I mean, there's some good actors and actresses in that film, except for
oh, I'm
Zoe. I
sure.
don't know.
I'm sure.
Zoe Deschanel might look cute, but I don't know. She's not very good at acting. But that's just me. Some people might have liked her. Yeah, it's dry British
Right.
sci-fi comedy. And thanks for the fish, right, Arabic? Um, Booger
Uh,
says my avatar is two stuffed bunnies wearing Jill's live stream, watching Jill's live stream about Watership Down yesterday. Oh, okay, that's cool. And
hmm.
yeah, highly and most probably recommend it for sure. Booger
Yeah.
says the TV show was better than the movie. I don't know about that, Booger. I tried to watch the TV show; it wasn't that good. Eric says, "Oh, LOL looked like a Muppet, which were used in the film." And hey, Lady
Oh.
V's in the house. Hello, Lady V. She says, "Hi, Mikey, Jay, and Jim." Hey, good to see you, Lady V. See it now, Booger.
How you
And
doing? How you doing?
and
How you
Zoe,
doing?
yeah, she was better in Elf than she was as Trillian. Yes, I agree.
Hmm.
And Lady says, "Hey, it's Boogs and Arabic, and the books are my favorite." Yes, sir, they are. Hail, Lady V. Okay. Yeah, I think we're caught up, guys. Let's see. All right,
Unless you want to go
so
through everything we've already talked about, because basically everything of the trivia, goofs, continuity, errors, and everything we've already talked about.
that's awesome. Well, no, like I said, during the fire alarm mishap, they had a alarm on the 8th floor of this building. They never said that it was either confirmed that there was a fire or that it was set again. Uh,
Oh God,
as a prank or that it was just a false alarm. So
somebody
we're
smoking
just
weed
assuming it's a
again and it
false.
went off.
Yeah. So we were just assuming it was
Lord.
false alarm. Yeah. Yeah. You know what the people do in here basically is They don't care about the non-smoking in this building. They do it anyway,
Yep.
and so they set off the alarms. And when they do that,
that's
the
like
fire department comes
the
out.
Bond House. We are supposed to be smoke free, but they don't give a crap. They're going to do
They
whatever
don't
they
give a
want.
crap. That's true. That's true. And then Booger says, "Hey, lady," and Aravic says the music was great too. Yes, it was. And so Booger said, "So what was better or worse between TMP and Wrath of Khan?" You know what?
TMP.
I'm gonna let Jim answer first. So, Jim, do you want to answer Booger's question first? What do you think was better or worse between the motion picture and Wrath of Khan?
Well, I think you should show the motion picture first before you did Star Trek 2, in my opinion.
Well, yes, sir. I know, but we were a lot of people, including Jay, were asking for this, so I said, okay, well, we'll do this first. Yeah. But like I said, we can do the motion picture next week.
I always tell anybody who's never seen Star Trek but wants to start watching the movies, always tell them, start with the Wrath of Khan. You don't need to watch the first one. It is slow. It's stupid. Just go with the Wrath of Khan.
Well, I guess that's how you would describe it. That's basically how you would describe it. And then, that probably, yes, that makes sense, I guess. Yeah, sure. Let's see. Okay. So Aravic said, so perfect for the scene, especially when Kirk runs down to engineering. Oh, yeah. And he slides on the ladder to get down there to Spock. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Classic. Dadman Walking 55. Hey, Mikey, have a great stream. Thank you, Dadman Walking, and also Mrs. Dadman Walking 55. They have great content on their streams and on their respective websites on YouTube. Please check them out because they're great. Yeah, he comes in to help. Yeah.
Hey, Mikey, remind me to tell you something when we get off there.
Oh, yeah, I will. Okay. Well, we're going to go down to 1:30 and then we'll stop. So I think that's probably, we covered everything, right? Yeah. Arabic says the motion picture, worse. Okay. Booger says, considering how many people say this is their favorite, what ranks it there as opposed to the first movie? Well,
the first movie was bad.
The first movie was really bad. It's actually in my bottom of 13. It only
they
ranks.
Wanted to make. They wanted to make. What is that movie? What is that movie, Mikey? That space movie. The one with the computer that wants to kill Hal.
Oh, you mean 2001: A Space Odyssey?
Yeah, Gene Roddenberry wanted to make that movie into make Star Trek look like that movie.
Oh yeah, in order to make Star Trek the motion picture, right?
Yeah, he wanted to make Star Trek the motion picture into that movie that you just said, A Space Odyssey.
Right. But don't forget too that Paramount realized they were behind when Star Wars came out. So when Star Wars came out in 1977, the executives of Paramount said, holy beep beep, we are way behind here.
That's one thing we didn't discuss, Mikey. Back in 77, they wanted to make a Star Trek TV show, a revival called Star Trek Phase 2. It was going to be new sets, use the same uniforms, but kind of different. And it was a weird warp core. And they kept on going from a TV show to a movie to a TV movie, back to a TV show. Let's create our own network called the Paramount Network, and we'll make Star Trek Phase 2 our flagship TV series. go back to movie, back to TV. Then finally Star Wars hit, and they said, "Well, don't we have something of sci-fi that we can make a movie? Hey, we got Star Trek. Okay, great, make it into a movie."
Yep, that's it. And then that's basically how it ended up, right? And well, they didn't really think it through.
When you get through reading all the whatever you call it, the messages, comments, let's each of us tell each other what the one thing that you liked about the movie. You know, what's your favorite scene? What's your least favorite scene?
Okay, yeah, we can do that. And I'll start with Jim, then go to you, Jay, and then me. So yeah. So just to finish, so Booger said it is slow, but I think it sets up a couple things in the later movies. Not sure the soak death scene would mean as much if he hadn't left Kolinar. Oh, that's true. I'll tweak you in a sec. 2001 Space Odyssey. Yes, Eric, we got that. And Booger says the line about Kirk getting back into command is a repeat of the idea that he hated being an admiral in TMP.
He did.
Which is true. And like I said before, what I really, and I'll say this real quick before we each decide talk about our favorite and worst scene. My favorite thing about this is that Star Trek continues, even though it's a fan film and considered non-canon. However, I think of it as canon because of what Eugene Roddenberry Jr. said that it is. So I agree with the son of Roddenberry saying it is canon. Now, with that being in mind, if you do watch Star Trek Continues on YouTube, which I have, I've seen all of them, and if you watch the final two-parter episode about the Espers, which is called The Boldly Go, when you watch part 2 and you watch towards the end, it's Kirk who is already dressed up in the Admiral's outfit, and he addresses his crew and says, "Unfortunately, I've been bumped up to the Admiral of Operations for Starfleet." And he tells the whole crew that, but at the same time, he says that you are going to be able to continue doing adventures and so forth. And then, of course, we get to the Star Trek The Motion Picture, and ironically enough, it connects right with it because then you see, Shatner as Kirk in an admiral's outfit, in the admiral uniform, the exact one that Vic Mignogna was wearing in part 2 of the To Boldly Go. So I thought that's ironic, and not only that, that's perfect because if you want to see it and it eclipses and it goes right into the movies, then what you do is, according to my theory, is you watch the 3 seasons of TOS, and then if you want to really enjoy Wrath of Khan, as Jim suggested, watch Space Seed, then watch this film. And then when you get done with TOS, then watch the animated series if you want. It's not required, but I would say there's a few enjoyable episodes there. Then, of course, when you get into Star Trek Continues, watch all 11 episodes, and as soon as you're done with part 2 from episode 11, then it goes right into the motion picture, and then you start watching the movies and go right from there. So, I mean, that's the best part of it. I mean, for me, is because it connected everything, and that's my best theory I can come up with. I think it holds. I definitely think it holds water to most people. So, and it would make
in a novel, I can't remember what the novel was, but I do remember reading a novel about Kirk had done another. What do you call it? He violated the Prime Directive again, but in the end, it helped. You know, kind of like what he did with the people on the planet that was killing themselves because their deaths were recorded on machines, so they had to go into a disintegrator room. Well, he violated the Prime Directive too much, and Starfleet made him accept promotion to Admiral in Star Trek 2.
Yeah.
Then Star Trek 1, the motion picture, like you said. If you watch that last episode of Star Trek Continues, you find out that he's tired of all the deaths and everything, so he becomes an admiral.
Right, and the person that he actually talked to was Admiral Nagura, and Nagura got him the admiral. Right, and Nagura, and he promoted him. So, yeah, but then of course he regrets it over time because you see that in the 3 films, he regrets it.
He's got to be behind. He's got to have a ship. He can't fly. Like McCoy says, you want to be out there hopping galaxies instead of working on a damn computer.
Yeah, exactly. Just finish these last two, and then we'll go right to Jim so we can.
I got a phone call coming. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay, sir.
Okay.
All right, then we'll wait for Jim. So we'll go to Jay first. Just want to finish these last two lines here.
Okay.
Aravic says, my favorite scene is the Nebula space battle. The way the ships moved slowly, it made it more realistic. Yeah, in the Mutara Nebula. Absolutely. And also Booger says, remember that even Gene waffled back and forth on TAS being canon. Yes, he did. He did. Because remember, he did say to the people at Filmation, he says, now you can put my name there because I'm executive producer and I'm the creator of Star Trek, but I don't want to direct these episodes, these animated vignettes.
He didn't want to have anything to do with it.
Right, at the time. He didn't want anything to do with it. So he just let everybody else take it over, and that's what they did. But they made sure they kept Roddenberry's name in there so it would have continuity of the Trek series.
He has said so many times that yesteryear of the animated series is canon, but everything else,
Yeah, right.
That was a quote from him. Yesteryear is the canon, but the rest is meh.
Right. Yeah, the rest is meh. Perfect way to put it. Okay, so Admiral Jim had to step away for a moment. So, Brother Jay, if you want to go ahead and give us your favorite scene from the film and your worst favorite scene from the film.
I think my favorite scene would be McCoy coming to the celebrating Kirk's birthday. I love that, the whole scene. I love it. My least favorite is let me think. I had it on the tip of my tongue. Oh, why didn't they? I know it's not on the screen, but it just still ifs me. Why didn't they film or keep it in the film of Khan going up to Reliant and getting everybody of the crew down on City Alpha 5? And I wish we could have seen that where Kirk is holding the bar and Spock's next to him. But least favorite scene, I would have to say, is the eels. Oh God.
You mean the earwigs?
But it's part of the movie. Without that, we wouldn't have a movie. But I still cannot watch that today.
Yeah, I have slightly a different view of that, but yeah. But I mean, well, you got to understand. When I first saw this, it came out in 1981, right? So I was 16 years old when I went. 82. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. So I was 17. I wasn't even 17 years old yet when it came out in movie theaters, and I actually went to Cindy Capri down there in Phoenix to see it. So I went in line just like everybody else, you know, the opening day to see the premiere, and I thought, those things gave me nightmare fuel because I was like, you know, those are crazy ass creatures and in your ear and everything else like that.
Right.
Yeah, that was insane.
I didn't get to see the motion picture or the Wrath of Khan until it came out on TV on our ABC channel.
Well, I got blessed. I actually
because we didn't have a theater until '84. Our old theater had to be condemned because the dang roof was falling on people, so they had to close it for safety reasons. And it wasn't until I don't know who built it, but somebody built a 4-theater complex here in Bastrop in '84.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, with the TMP. Okay,
it was open for about 30 years.
Sure. Okay, let me get to my favorite and worst favorite. My favorite episode, or favorite scene, sorry. My favorite scene definitely has to be the Mutara Nebula battle. I thought that. Because it was so meticulous. Because it's like it's like when Spock says "sauce for the goose," Mr. Savick. The odds are even.
Yeah.
I mean, just the perfect. I mean, it was perfect because Joaquin is telling, before they even go in, he's telling them our shields will be useless. And it's like, Khan is not even paying attention to his second in command. He's basically saying, I'm going in here, I want to kill Kirk, that's it. End of story. So it's to me, it's basically it comes right back to Moby Dick. It's like, Khan is
Khan was kind of right, because he knew Kirk would stop him, so he had to try to kill Kirk.
Right, exactly. Okay, go ahead, honey. Yeah, so basically, like I said, to me, it was definitely Ahab pursuing his whale into the Mutara Nebula, and unfortunately, we all know how that ended. But I'll tell you, they really, and of course, what's so great is the fact that Spock came up with the idea, just on the fly, mind you, to run down there in enough time. I mean, because at that point, after Kirk says, Scotty, we need warp speed in 3 minutes or we're all dead. And of course, Spock runs down there and stops McCoy before he can stop him. And because Scotty had already passed out from the radiation. And so, yeah, I thought his solution.
Mikey, I gotta go. I got people here.
Oh, okay. All right, take care. Sorry, I talked too long. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, anyway, everyone, don't forget, Jim's Landscape, Commodore LLC #1, Commodore Productions. Please go to his website. Check him out. He's got some great fan films there, including Repair 4, which will be coming out pretty soon. He has the trailer. It's going to come out on May 27th on Monday. Yeah. And also, he does have some pet videos on there of his dogs, as well as some mowing and stuff that he does. So for his landscaping. So yeah, please make sure you check out his site. I just want to catch up on these last couple things, and then I think we'll go ahead and call it on this. So let's see. Yeah, it was, then wasn't, then yesteryear was, then the rest of it was. Yes. So it went from non-canon to canon, non-canon, canon. Oh, it's canon. Yeah. Aravic says, my least favorite scene was the outdated computer graphics of Genesis on the little TV. Yes, I totally agree.
But that scene of the Genesis morphing the planet in that computer scene, that was the very first CGI.
That was the first CGI. Yeah, it was. Yeah. That's true. That was, well, you know what? That was the first CGI that was created from Industrial Light and Magic. The same guys who 5 years before created Star Wars came up with the concept of doing a computer graphic type appearance for how the Genesis planet would form. So, that was first CGI.
And then after that was the Tron. If it wasn't for the Genesis thing, we wouldn't have had Tron.
We wouldn't have Tron for Disney. That's right. Booger says his favorite scene was the reveal when we first see Khan. Despite knowing the title and the guest star, it still packed the punch. Yes. Yes, it did. And don't forget that James Horner had a Khan theme. Just like they had an Imperial March theme for when Darth Vader would walk in. Khan had his own theme that Horner came up with.
And Kirk had his own theme. Yeah.
Kirk had his. The Enterprise had its own. It was so awesome because the movie soundtrack, you don't anticipate that soundtracks would be so accommodating to a film, but absolutely, you can't say that enough about the great soundtrack, really, from like the films that Horner did. Aravix's later,
the only soundtrack I've ever had was Star Trek V. I never listened or even bought any other soundtrack before then. Star Trek V is the only one I've had.
Yeah, and Booger says my least favorite scene was the Genesis planet cavern for two reasons. One, that we never go back and explore it, so it is an odd dead end. Yeah,
well, it probably destroyed itself too because Genesis was a failure too in Star Trek 3. So you would think that.
And do you remember why? Because David Marcus, his son, like Kirk, who was willing to take risks, decided to put proto matter to make things work, and that's what destroyed the planet eventually. So, yeah. We have to assume, Booger, that because the cavern, when they all beamed back up, and got into the Enterprise and everything, we have to assume that eventually the cavern collapsed too, and where they had the growth and everything, because of the proto matter situation. So, Aravic says, I know, it was just dated by the time I got to see it when I was in middle school. Yeah, I know. Secondly, that Carol and David knew they had limitless resources in the cave, but took away some of the drama from the scenes in the cave. Yeah, that's true. Actually, you know what? Like I said, my Mutara Nebula was definitely my favorite scene, but I think the least favorite was the dialogue, everything that happened in the cavern, because, on one hand, I was glad that Kirk explained to Saavik how he was able to beat the no-win scenario for Kobayashi Maru, but then, of course, the fact that he had to lie, to Saavik, and then, of course, Saavik, when, she confronts Spock, she says, you lied, and he says, I exaggerated. So, therefore, we see that Spock can use his human side and exaggerate, but at the same time, we know he lied. He lied about the situation and what was happening. But, of course, that was done for a reason. So, and let's see. Yeah, and then Aravic says, even today, not all the special effects are convincing. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that, Aravic. I still think some of the special effects, especially in the Mutara Nebula ones, the scenes there, absolutely cool. Because, it looked real to me. I thought it was a really cool space battle. It was like the end. It was like Act 3 to the first two times that the Reliant and Enterprise fought each other. So I thought, it was definitely cool. Yeah, he just omitted the truth. Yeah, exactly. Right. He just omitted the truth.
Well, I love what he says in Star Trek 6 to Valeris. She goes, a lie. And he goes, an error.
Yeah. Oh, no. Didn't he say an exaggeration?
No, he said error in that scene. It was when he told Scotty, how long do you think it'll be for repair time to get the engines back online? He said, "What? There's nothing wrong with the bloody."
Oh.
And he told Valeris, contact Starfleet and tell them that our warp drive is inoperative. And she goes, a lie, an error.
I thought he said an omission. I would have to rewatch it again, but we will get to that because I like the fact that we can now do these on Saturdays just before Jet Birdie. I love talking about these films because they're so much fun, and I love rewatching them because I can because we own them all. So, and we will even at the very end of this, we will even talk about Galaxy Quest also because we'll do that film too at the very end after we do the Jar Jar Abrams movies. So,
Oh God.
They go in order. Yeah. And let's see. Yeah. So Eric says, so I'm the future. You don't think people are going to date today's CGI? I already see it in Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. One point I want to bring back, and then we'll go ahead and have Jay give us his prayer for today. Um, the one thing I wanted to stress again is that CGI is effective. It is. Overall, it's a great way of covering effects that you may not be able to cover in practical or a visual case. However, that being said, CGI does need to accommodate the story and the plot line of any film. If it doesn't,
but it doesn't need to be CGI should never be the entire movie. It should be a
correct.
little bit part of the movie to explain
Yes.
something, but not
Yep.
the entire movie like Avatar.
Right, correct. And that's where Jay and I both agree. It's like it needs to accommodate the story, doesn't need to outweigh the story and be the end all be all. And everything else
It's
gets
like
pushed
AI.
aside.
You don't need AI to do the entire film. Just
Correct.
it's a tool to help you when you're stuck on something, not
Right.
let it create an entire movie.
Well, it what it would do is if CGI, I've seen it where CGI has created more of a crutch on a film that could be spectacular, except that when you use CGI in certain places, it tends to drag it down, and then the
Right.
movie's just not as good. It's just not as epic. Uh, that's why both Jay, me, and Jim can appreciate Star Trek II Wrath of Khan because it had very little to do with CGI. In fact, as we said in one scene, that's it. That's the only time you would see early CGI was showing you the proposal that Carol Marcus made about the Genesis planet that they were planning to do. So that helped the scene. That actually helped the entire movie and was a big detriment. But now that you have CGI so prevalent in today's movies, you have to really wonder, well, is it going to enhance the film or is it just going to make it, turn into a piece of sheep dip? It's kind of it's
Very
weird because
well put.
there's no balance. Yeah, because there's no balance. It just goes either one way or the other. That's how it is. Yeah, Toy Story managed to be groundbreaking CGI and tell a good story, and it was good. Yeah, the original
For a
Toy
kid show,
Story.
yeah.
Yes, for kids and for young adults, teenagers, and those that appreciated animation. Yes, I totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree on that, Booker. And then also, yes, by the way, I changed my avatar to my wife and I at the 50th anniversary Trek convention in New York City in full Klingon regalia. Oh, wow. Look at that.
Oh,
Do you see
wow.
his avatar?
That's nice.
Isn't that awesome? That's Booker in a Klingon
Kapla.
outfit, his wife. Wow. That is so awesome, dude. Yeah, I like that. And Aravic says, I love Lord of the Rings. Never noticed some of the bad CGI until I showed it to my nephew, and he said that looks so fake. And it was my favorite Bridge of Khazad-dûm scene. Right. You shall not pass. Yes. Yes. That's unfortunate. He was able to point it out, and you, Aravic, thought it was so cool. Yeah. And then your nephew points it out and says, oh, no, that's fake. He's definitely on a stand or something, and he's waiting for the scene to pass him.
My best friend at the time, may she rest in peace,
yes.
Donna, she made me sit down and watch 2 or 3 of the Lord of the Rings movies in one day. I wanted to go home and shower because I felt so filthy from watching such a horrible movie. Oh, I can't.
Oh man,
I couldn't stand it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
If
Aravic,
I wasn't an alcoholic, I would have been during that movie if I could have had a bottle of whiskey. God.
Right. Well, it's not for everybody. That's what I'm saying. The trilogy.
Dude, I'll tell you
Lord of the Rings.
how bored I was. I'll tell you how bored I was watching that stupid 2 or 3 movies, however long that franchise was. Lord of the Rings. She made me watch all of them. I was in the kitchen getting her a sandwich, and I saw this knife on the thing, and I said, "It'll just take one little thrust, and it'll be over." God.
Wow. Aravic pointed out to Booger, nice cosplaying, Booger Kapla. He says, no, it was the scene where the bridge, where it was collapsing and they were running out. Oh, yes, okay. That scene. All right.
Run away. I'd be damned if I am. Lord forgive me. I'd be doggone if I will.
Well, now you know his answer on that, Aravic. Anyway, let's go ahead.
If the movie was bad, then I know the books were bad, son.
Well, the books were actually pretty decent. I do remember reading 1 or 2 of the Lord of the Ring books. They weren't too bad. I did
dang slow of a movie. And I thought the motion picture was slow.
Yeah. And Aravic says, come on, Jay. They're over 300 pages.
I'd rather set fire to the frackers.
Oh, no.
Let's have a bonfire.
Yeah. Aravic says, then you must not be into fantasy.
Star Trek's a fantasy.
It is, but he's talking about a different kind of fantasy with Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I loved them both, Aravic. And if you want to join me these days, we could both. I
don't like the live action, but I love the animated version of the what's that movie? The Witch, the Lion, and the Wardrobe.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
And that's fantasy.
It is. And I also like the animated version of The Hobbit when it came out all those years ago.
Yeah, I like the Hobbit cartoon, but I didn't like the live action.
Yeah. Yes, the live action was just not his thing, Aravic. He's laughing at you. That's okay. Aravic, there's Sci-Fi Sifdan. Hi, Sci-Fi Sifdan. We're actually close to the end of the show today. Jay was just about to go into his prayer for us, the final prayer.
The ending.
And let you know what's happening coming up here pretty soon. So, yeah, we're almost there. But it's good to see you, Sifdan. I appreciate you coming by. Okay, so just to recap, we did the review today of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Both Jay, Jim, and I all agreed it deserves 5 out of 5 or 10 out of 10, depends on your point of view, and that it deserves an A and a lot of pluses after that A. So it is one of the best Star Trek films ever of the 13 film series, including Galaxy Quest. So if you want to go,
it is up there, Mikey. Yeah. It's up there with the greatest movies of all time, like the 10 Commandments, the Sons of Katie Elder. It's right up there with the classics.
Yeah, I would also say it's right up there with, in my opinion, it's right in my top 5 with Star Wars and with 2001: The Space Odyssey. I mean, those are epics for me, and those were great sci-fi films. And I loved them.
I didn't like 2001 or whatever you call it, the Space Odyssey.
2001: The Space Odyssey? No, it's a great film. It's
and Star Wars. Now, don't get me wrong. I like the 1 through 6, the first original Star Wars, and the prequels, but I didn't like the sequels.
Right, 7, 8, 9. Well, no, and I kind of agree with you, but it did have some fun moments in those last 3. So, but we will eventually get to those. And I just want to acknowledge one more here. The Chronicles of Narnia is what Jay is asking about. That's true.
Yeah.
The Chronicles of Narnia.
Well, correct. I didn't like the live action of the Chronicles of Narnia. After the first one, I didn't like it because it didn't stick with the book and the cartoon. The cartoon was a short version of the movies, and I think that's what we needed.
Sure.
Like with The Hobbit.
Right.
And
And
they even had a cartoon of Lord of the Rings, and I liked it more than I did the live action.
right, even Sif Dan said to you the sequels were crap.
Yes.
Yes, they were.
I didn't see the last two.
Yeah. And Erevic says the Chronicle of Narnia live action was better than the animated movie and the books.
No.
Well,
No.
you know what?
No.
Okay. When I first, I want to
I
say this
agree
real
that
quick.
he has the right to his opinion, but I do too, and I don't agree with that.
Well, okay. Let me just quickly say that in the regard to this, my brother was a huge C.S. Lewis fan. Like he read all the
Mm-hmm.
books, he read everything. I only got my knowledge of C.S. Lewis from my brother. My brother really liked reading his stuff. So when I heard about Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I was like, yeah, okay. And, we'd seen the Chronicles of Narnia in animated form, and it was good. I thought it was decent. I just remember the first book I read. I didn't read the others. But I just didn't really get into it. I like fantasy. I really got into, like, say, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit,
Mm-hmm.
because I liked J.R.R. Tolkien's books, which I read as a kid. I also liked, Harry Potter. I mean, I didn't really read
Mm-hmm.
any of the books, but because J.K. Rowling wrote such great novels, and actually Suzanne introduced me to those. So when we started watching the movies, we thought, okay, well, the movies, Harry Potter's franchise didn't really come close to some of the books sometimes, and other times it did.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, to me, it depends. If I've read the book first, then I'll like the movie or I'll hate the movie and prefer the book more. So I guess for me, that's where I stand. But we can talk more about that at another time. That's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Narnia brings up two classic debates. Right. First, is it pro-Christian or anti-Christian? Good question.
It's
Because I think
pro.
I think my brother said he thought it was anti-Christian, but I was like,
Mm-mm.
I don't know, because there's parts of it that actually sound pro-Christian, but I'm not sure. Second, what order do you read them in?
The
Published
lion
or
was Jesus Christ
chronological? Well, I agree with that.
because he comes back from the dead. Remember, in the
Yes,
cartoon.
yes. So yes, I agree with that. Um,
And remember, God says that Jesus will have Satan head on his footstool, and he'll have his foot on his head. Well, um,
yeah,
the lion just stomps on the witch and her crony and kills them,
yeah. Well,
basically
and I
putting his foot on the footstool.
Sure. And I wanted to answer that second part there, Booger. My brother said that after they were published, the way he read them was he realized they were out of a chronological order. So what
Hmm.
he did was after he got all the books that C.S. Lewis wrote
Hmm.
about the subject, he put them in chronological order. And that's how he's taught some of his students because he teaches English and art history. So that's how he's been able to teach to his students about C.S. Lewis is chronologically. So that's how he because he's a teacher. So I mean that's how he
Right.
handled it. Booger says I have a soft spot for the cartoon because that was my introduction to the Chronicles.
Right.
Uh, Arabic says Hunger Games was an exception for me, where I equally enjoyed both the books and the movies. I enjoyed
Oh
the movies.
God,
I never read
that
the
first
books.
Hunger
I
Game
never.
movie was bad. Mm.
I never read the books, but I did enjoy the Hunger Games. Every one of
Mm-mm.
them that we saw. Um, yeah, Aslam on the stone table is almost a retelling about the crucifixion and the
Aslam.
Crucifixion
Mm-hmm.
Psalm. Yeah, Aslam. Yeah, and yeah, C.S. Lewis also writes good nonfiction. He does. He does. And my mother put stickers on the spines, renumbering them in our bookcase. Oh, that's a good
Mm-hmm.
idea. Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, I'm gonna step away for a couple minutes. It's an emergency of man business. But as soon as I come back, we'll go ahead and let Jay do the final.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Exactly. Be right back, guys.
How much is that doggy in the window? I'm really quite hungry, you see. Is that a Pomeranian or pit bull? A real Indian delicacy. Yum yum. One little, two little, three little Indians, four little, five little, six little Indians, seven little, eight little, nine little Indians. Boy, what a big truckload. Well, my hands are shaking and my knees are weak. About that, I always mess that up. Well, my hands are shaking and my knees are weak. I can't seem to stand on my own 2 feet. I'm having chest pains and I'm wild as a bug. I've fallen, and I can't get up. Yeah, yeah, I can't get up. Since my baby left me, I found a new place to dwell. It's down at the end of Lonely Street. It's Super 8 Motel. I've been so lonely, baby. Oh.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, so wow, you guys love to chat while I'm gone. Okay, Aravic says Joloja, and wow, Jay, and he's laughing at you. Sci-Fi Siftan says I saw the first Hunger Games movie. It was okay, but I stopped watching them after the first because I lost interest or don't have access to watch them. Well, that makes sense. Most people couldn't see them. And now your host, Jay. Oh, yes. And Booger said, I learned that as all in Indian row. Uh, oh,
The
yeah. And Arabic
one
says they're
little, two
referred
little, three
to,
little Indians.
yeah, right. They're referred to as Native Americans. Yeah, Arabic said that's a good one. Reminds me of Elvis.
Yep.
Booger says, I am old enough to have sat Indian style in school. Yes, with cross legs and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. Uh, and he says to Arabic, actually, that was replaced by indigenous people and then by First Nations. Yes, up here in Canada is how
I
they
don't
were
know
able.
why my people hate to be called what they are, Indians.
Well, it's a derogatory term now. So,
No, they're just proceeding with this woke nation crap. You Indians.
well, yeah, maybe. Anyway, yeah, let's go ahead and get to your prayer. So, please go ahead and give us your prayer there, Jay, for today.
All right. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for another chance to come together in Christian fun and review these movies we love. Father, let us always be mindful of the work that we do to promote Christianity, Father. Father, you know that we all have petitions on our hearts and minds. We lift all those prayers up to you right now. And Father, be with us as we come back tonight for Jeopardy and tomorrow for a question of Trek, if there is one, and all for next week. And now I just want to thank Mikey and Mr. Zan for allowing us to be on their channel and have some enjoyment. Forget about all the troubles in the world and all of our hurts and pains, and we just have some fun and laughs, Father. Now go with us, lead, guide, and direct us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen.
And amen. Thank you, Jay. You know, you have such wonderful words and prayers. They mean a lot, not only to our community, but to everyone that's a part of the panel, and helps our channel grow. Uh, if most of you don't know at this point, Jay is also our third member of Mikey Sus 4. And he helps us tremendously. We also have, and he's my brother from another mother. And also, Jim's Landscaping is also a brother of mine, and he lives in Ohio. Jay lives in Louisiana, and I live here in Toronto, well, Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. We may be in three different places, but we all enjoy pop culture and especially Star Trek, and we're huge fans of it. And uh, we like to spread our knowledge and our thoughts to those that may not be aware that there were such great shows out there, because nowadays the woke community just doesn't want you to know. They want to keep everything secret. But it's our channels like this that want to come out there and expose
Mm-hmm.
behind the scenes and say, look, there are real shows that were out there. They really existed, and they were really great moments to
Right.
watch. And if you go to YouTube and or if you go to other channels like Tubi, Paramount Plus, and so forth, and you look for those shows,
Pinnacle.
you're going to find great shows. I mean, you're going to find wonderful actors, wonderful actresses, great
Yeah.
storylines, great plots, everything that's going to be out there. So
They don't
that's
make
just
good movies like this anymore or good TV because back in the 70s, 80s, there wasn't hardly any TV show that wasn't good to watch. We had great shows.
Oh, yeah, of course. And we'll just finish with the chat here before we end today. Aravic says now we have to sit crisscross applesauce. I remember that. Sifdan says that, and now that there are Indians from India, right? The word Indians have different meanings, right? Native Americans fine. That is what I call them. Absolutely. Amen from Booger. Amen from Aravic. Amen from Sci-Fi Sifdan. See, you are a great minister. Jay, I've always said, just like my wife, Suzanne. She's asleep right now. Aravic says, thanks for the stream, Mikey. See you guys soon. Yes, we will see you at Chip Nerdy at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central tonight with John DeMarco and Professor Brainy Specs. So, yes, we'll see you there,
I'll
Aravic.
be there unless I fall asleep before then.
Well, I'm going to take a nap with my beautiful wife after this, so I'll try to make it for sure. Booger says, good stream. I had fun going out with my wife for tacos. Ooh, that sounds good. Written by real people, starring real people. Yes. Back when writing was cool, when story writing was cool, and you could write for TV shows.
If you have good writing, you got a good actors that know how to act, you got a great show or movie.
Yeah. And Jim came back just in time and says, bye, everyone. Take care. Thank you, Jim. So just a couple reminders. Don't forget, we do have our Sunday topic times, which starts at 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow and 2 p.m. Central. We do that live stream with me and Jay. And of course, it is open panel. Anybody can come up and we can discuss any topic that's out there. Just not politics, though. That's not the thing we talk about.
Yeah.
With all the situation going with that right now. But we do talk about other topics, and we talk a lot about pop culture. So if you guys are interested, please come by tomorrow, Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Also, on Monday, we'll be talking about one of the subjects of our topic. One of our topics, actually, the subject on Monday will be about the poll. I have a community poll that's out there, still going until Monday, and then I'll reveal the results of the poll. According to what we have, Red Dwarf is in first place, followed by Star Trek series that Jay and I can discuss, which is in second place. And if that's the case, that's what we can do, is go ahead and use the Saturdays here in the afternoon as our beginning discussion. What we'll do first is we'll do the movies. We'll do all 14 movies, 13 including Galaxy Quest. Then we can go right into the original series plus the animated series and so on until we get to Enterprise. That will be the last series we'll cover. We don't cover the new Trek stuff. That's not part of it for us. We're old school. We love the older stuff. So we will do that on Saturdays. Now, with that being said, if Red Dwarf does remain number one, what I've done is I'm going to wait until next month and at about the middle of June. And then because I think that's when my other Jay buddy, Sci-Fi Nation, has told me he'd like to do the hosting with me on that. So because we both loved Red Dwarf. So what we'll do is on Fridays, which is the open day of the week, we can also do Red Dwarf. And if he's available at a certain time, even if it's like late at night, he and I will both have a live stream, which we will discuss Red Dwarf. So that'll cover Fridays. And then that way I've got the whole week booked. So you know what? I love this about my retirement, having an entire week that I got stuff to do, and it gives me things to do, and I love it. I love it. Anyway, so don't forget, we have our topic times tomorrow, and then on Monday, Mikey Sue's TV, which will start at 12 noon Eastern, which is 11 a.m. Central Time. And don't forget, the one change I made to the week is on Wednesday morning at 12 midnight. Basically 12:01 a.m. on Wednesday will be the Greatest American Hero reviews that I do for myself on my webcam. So that's the only change that's been made to the schedule. And as we get further into our A-Team reviews on Tuesdays and our ISIS, the Secrets of ISIS and Shazam on Thursdays that Jay and I do a live stream. And then, of course, like I said, next month we'll start doing the Red Dwarfs. That remains as in first. And I'll let Sci-Fi Nation know about that. And also, then what we'll do is we'll continue to do these Saturday afternoon, same time, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 o'clock Central. And if you want us to, next week, we'll just go right and start with TMP. And then the following week, skip right to Search for Spock. And we'll give you our reviews on those movies. And like I said, we'll cover the movies first. Then we'll cover the original series next. So there's a lot coming up. And like I say one last time, make sure you hit the like button today. Make sure you share this with your friends so that they can rewatch. Also, please hit the subscribe button. We do stand at 170 subscribers, and we are a small channel. We're always continuing to build. So when we do reach 200, we will have a celebration. And and I'll let you guys know when we can have open panel and chat and celebrate 200 subscribers. When we reach that point, I'll let you guys know ahead of time. And also, please hit that notification bell, the ding, ding, ding. And make sure when you do hit notification, hit all notifications. Yeah, the ding, ding, ding. You hit all notifications so that way, when you know when the webcam series and the live streams come on, all you have to do is it will say underneath, because I'll set it up. I've set it up that way. What you do is it says underneath, notify me. It says there. All you have to do is click that once, and it will say notification on. So when the webcam or the live stream is ready to go live, it will tell you. And then that way you just go right there, and it'll take you right there to our Mikey Sue's 4 channel. And and then you'll have some fun. You'll enjoy watching the content that we put out for pop culture and so forth. So with that being said, of course, in the immortal words of Gene Siskel and of the Siskel and Ebert critique show that I love so much, and Gene was my favorite person out there because he was the nerd. And Roger Ebert, even though he was kind of obese, was the counterpoint. I said, well, Gene's smarter than you are. He's a nerd. So anyway, in the Immortal, that explains a little bit of why I do this. But anyway, so in the immortal words of Gene Siskel, the aisle is now closed. And thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate your patronage. And of course, don't forget, tomorrow we've got our Sunday topic times, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 o'clock Central. Take care, everyone. We'll see you then. Oh, and again, don't forget, Jet Nerdy tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, with John DeMarco and, of course, Professor Brainy Specs. And don't forget, if it happens tomorrow, a question of Trek at 11:15 a.m. Eastern Time. Talk to you guys then. Wait. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. And we'll.
Your donations are greatly appreciated.
Yes, they are. Yes. Yes. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and we'll talk to you soon. The aisle's now closed again. And yes, there's no cleanup in aisle 5, Jim. Take care.
Dead Jim.